Hello, welcome to Superheroes in Heels, the podcast where we fiercely empower women to stepping into their role as the owner, the CEO of their business, and stepping into the greatness that they are meant to step into. I'm Kimberly Borgens, your host, and I'm here to talk about something that I think a lot of people don't talk about in business around money: credit cards, credit card debt. Are your credit cards something that's helping you, or is it something that's more of a hindrance? And today I really wanted to talk about this with everyone because, the holiday season is past. Some people went into credit card debt. Some people don't know or understand how to use credit cards to help you as a businesswoman. And I really wanted to share that with you. A lot of times I'll say I'll ask women, what is it that do you have a credit card for your business? And they say, yeah, but I just pay cash and I use it for emergencies. And that's great. If you need that kind of self-control, then please do that. But I want to talk to you about maybe utilizing this credit card debt stuff, these credit cards for other things than looking at it as just for emergencies only, because there's some huge benefits when you can do it right. Stop letting the credit card people win. There's advantages where you can win also. And I really wanted to talk about that today with everyone because it is a new year, it's a new opportunity, and it's a way to go, you know what, I got into debt. How can I pay that off? Or, what can I do better for this next year when it comes to my money and money benefits and challenges, and how do I erase the challenges and create more money benefits? I'm all for that, right? So I really wanted to talk about that, especially women. A lot of times, men control the money in the household. They pay the bills. That's not a bad thing. I'm not anti that at all. Ladies, if that is the case in your household, what I'd like for you to do is to have an open conversation with your spouse, significant other, to have them teach you how to pay the bills together. And the reason why is because the reality is that men often die before women. And if you have a man in the household who is paying all the bills, which, hey, we don't want to have to deal with that responsibility and everything. But the problem comes if he gets sick, if he ends up in the hospital, if he does end up passing away, what do you have left? Right? What do you do? Right now, you're scrambling to try to figure it out and creating havoc, or you're just ignoring it because you didn't know how to deal with it, right? It becomes overwhelming. And what I would really like to see is for women and men to come together and do it together. So if you have a challenge with your spouse about that, tell them it's not about control. It's about just making sure that you set yourself up to be okay. Have them listen to this podcast. It's not it's not either or. It's a space where both men and women can win. So I say that because I know friends who just got into such serious problems after their spouse suddenly died and they didn't know how to figure it out. And so I really want to support you in knowing that. And then I want to also teach you how to utilize your credit cards so that you win, right? I'm all for a win game. So a lot of times, like I said, women, they say they have a credit card for emergencies. Um, and sometimes there's some fear around debt. I don't know about you. I don't like debt. I really don't. But there's good responsible debt, and then there's negative debt. And what I really want you to do is to not make those financial mistakes with the negative debt, and utilizing yourself, you get some wisdom around it. Because I have all my wisdom highlights with my head filled with gray hair. I say that every single gray hair is a lesson, right? So I have a lot of wisdom. But, think about it. What is it? If you have a credit card for emergencies, right? Who decides what qualifies as an emergency in your business, right? That's hard sometimes because it's emotional, right? It's not logical most of the time. So I would really like for you to shift a perspective a little bit on that. It's not just when the equipment breaks, or when you have to cover payroll or cover a debt. investing, like creating growth, getting support from a consultant or somebody who's going to guide you to stepping into things the right way. These could be contingent as emergencies as well. Just depends on how you look at it. So what I want to do is just really dig in. And I'm sharing this topic today because it's not just, I haven't just helped one person, two people, 10 people. For some reason, people start telling me about some of the challenges that they're facing in their debt. And I'm like, okay, let's have a conversation. And then it just really just digs from there. And so I can't tell you how many people I've helped anymore because there's just been so many. And I still get phone calls, I still get emails, I still get conversations where they say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I figured this, that you helped me figure this out because, you know, I'm not in debt." I mean, I just got a uh, text from my sister, one of my sisters. I have four sisters, or there's four girls. So I said one of my sisters texted me. She said, "Hey, I just want to let you all know, like I've paid off all my debt. I'm on the last thing on my car, and I have less than $5,000 left on my car, and I'm really excited because it's almost done." Right? Like she's excited now, where before she felt ashamed to talk about it. And I just had a conversation one day with her and I'm like, "Well, do you want some help?" And she's like, "Well, I don't know how you can help me, but okay." So today I'm calling out all you women who um who let credit scare them and ignore it, and we overspend what we have. I know there's a lot of women, like we get money in and we go buy the fancy bag and we buy the fancy shoes and we, buy the jewelry, or we get all the everything that everybody else looks at you and thinks that you're highfalutin, however you want to call it. But that doesn't have to be the case because look, I'm the kind of person, I have a multi-million dollar corporation, right? And I am running my payroll just this week alone was over $50,000, right? And I pay every week. So I could have a big fancy house. I could have every fancy car. I have a nice car, don't get me wrong, but I have a bare minimum nice car, right? I live in the same house that we purchased, our first purchased house when we were broke. Okay. We hardly were able to make the payments, but we still, we live in the same house. I don't have to, I'm not saying I don't have some fancy stuff. I do, but only because I've utilized some of these strategies. So let's talk about credit card for just a quick minute. A lot of times credit cards, people think that your credit card, you use it, you pay it off, or at least you pay the minimum every month. Nowadays, there was a law that got passed that said that the credit card companies had to put how long it would take for you to pay off that debt if you did the minimum payments every month. Go look on your credit card statements, okay, online or in the mail. Look at your credit card statements. It'll tell you. It'll take you years to pay off something that really you could pay off in a couple of months. Yeah, you just have to tighten down some hatches, right? But the law passed because people just thought eventually they were going to get it paid off. One of my other sisters, I talked to her and she's told me about how she has, two credit cards. And she's paying just over minimum on both these credit cards, but she never feels like she ever gets ahead. So I said to her, "So pull out your statements." And we're talking on the phone. And I'm like, "Look at this credit card. Like, what's the interest rate?" She's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Okay, go find it here on your credit card statement." And she found it. She said 28%. I'm like, "Okay." And then I said, "So look at the other one. What's the interest rate on that one?" And she said, "Oh, well, that one, it's 8%. I was like, "Awesome." So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to transfer everything you have on the 28% interest rate over to the one that has 8%. Seems simple, right? Why pay 28% when when you only have to pay 8%? I know it sounds crazy, right? But that's how it is. So for her, she moved everything over to the 8%. And so instead of paying two minimum payments, she was able to make the payments on the one at 8% and got it paid off rather quickly. You see, you got to know the strategies. You have to understand your statements. You have to know the money and where's it going to. She was grateful. She said, I stopped using that one. I'm going to cut it up and throw. I'm like, don't cut it up. You can have it, charge something on it every 3 months, pay it off right away. And that just keeps your good credit rating. And she's like, okay. But let me show you a few things about credit cards, especially for business. So how can you use a credit card to make yourself some money for you and for your business? That's really what I want to get down to. I want to help you. If you have credit card debt and you need a coach to help you work through that, let me know. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation to see if it's a right fit for us, right? Because I can do this, right? One of my clients I had, she paid off $60,000 of debt in 10 weeks of credit card debt. So I know that this can happen. And then I've had many, many, many other people who hire me for a short period of time to get this taken care of. And then I've helped my sisters along the way. So think about it that way. But how can we use credit cards to make money? So most credit cards nowadays will give you points. When you accumulate enough points, they'll give you money back. So I know for Costco, for example, everything that I spend on my Costco credit card, I get 2% back. But then the credit card company also gives me 2%. So that's 4% of everything that I've spent at Costco, right? That 4% adds up every single month. So when I use those points, when I let that, I pay everything on my Costco. When I go to Costco, I put it automatically right onto my Costco credit card. And guess what? Then I go home and I pay it off. I get all the points, right? And boom, I get money back every year from both of them. I remember one time with American Express, we use everything in our business that we can on our American Express card. We put it in there and we have points in there. And one year I remember there was a big hit in the economy. We were going to Hawaii for a conference, but the cost of everything, we didn't have the money. Money was tight. But guess what? I was able to utilize my American Express points that paid for my hotel. It paid for my car rental trip. It paid for my trip expenses while we were in Hawaii. We were able to use the points that were on the credit card statement for our trip. We already had the airline tickets from a debunked trip the year before. We had credit with the airline, so we were able to use that. But we were able to go on our trip with 4 children, okay, and still have a great time, even though our money was really, really tight. For me, just a couple of years ago, I went to Japan on my American Express points. I know right now, I looked at it at the end of the year. I think I know I have well over 1 million points on American Express, and I can use all of those points to do different things because I put all my business expenses on my credit card. I pay it off and go from there. Look, sometimes I admit, just like everybody else, I don't pay it off every single month at the exact time, right? All I have to do is know that, okay, I'm going to pay the price with the interest. Okay. But my goal is to pay it off every single month. Occasionally that doesn't happen, but 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it absolutely does. I utilize my credit cards to make money. Those points become the money that is paid for me to move forward into doing something else. Think of your credit card. You use it for your everyday goods and services, your groceries, your gas, your utilities. Many credit card companies will give you bonuses and rewards for utilizing certain purchases. I know that my credit cards send me emails every month. Hey, for this month or for the next 3 months, if you use your card during these, we're giving you 5% back, right? I'm like, shh, boom. Half of the time, I don't even use any of those because I don't shop at those places. Right? But if you do, then there's your cash back in essence. But again, don't overspend. You spend within your limits and you pay it off because you're still in your limits. Do all your normal shopping, put it on your credit card, then go home the next day, you pay it off, just like you would have paid at the grocery store. So you don't overbuy, you buy what you need, you pay it off. Utilize low interest rates, card transfers. I know people that get a thing in the mail that says, hey, or in the email that says, hey, 0% financing for 6 months. I know people who transfer and transfer and transfer. So they always have 0% interest, but they have great credit, right? So they can take a little bit longer to pay it off, right? Stop thinking of your credit card as a bank in the sense of eventually it'll get paid off. Stop thinking of your credit card as an emergency use only credit card. If you have to make a large purchase on your credit card, you make it. You earn the points from it, right? And I just want to say here as a disclaimer, I'm not telling you to get into debt at all, okay? I'm telling you to utilize your credit cards to make money. It's a way that you can do it. I use my credit cards for all the purchases. I pay it off. I'm making money. Pay it off on a weekly basis. Pay it on bi-weekly basis, right? If your credit card interest is higher than your house payment interest, don't put extra money onto your house payment. Put the extra money onto your credit card payments and get those paid off, because the interest rates are so much different. Your house is a safe low risk debt. Your credit cards are high risk, high interest credit cards. You pay them off, pay them off, pay them off, but utilize them. Right? So I know a lot of people who want to get their house paid off sooner. They get a 30-year mortgage. They want to pay it off in 15. Heck, I took a 15-year mortgage to pay off in 10, right? But that's because I didn't have other credit card debt, right? Do you see the difference? So find out where your high interest stuff is and work with it from there. Look, you can earn money utilizing your credit cards. And it's very important as an entrepreneur to understand that you can do that. That's how you get to look. I remember when I had bad credit. Okay. Look, can we just be honest and real here? I sucked at credit cards because nobody ever taught me anything. Right? Oh, I got a credit card. I made it to 18. I got a credit card. I could spend it. And guess what? I got into some credit card trouble. Right? I know some of y'all have done it too. I know I'm not alone because I know the people that I talk to. But then I was like, okay, how does this work? And somebody said, oh, well, this is what you do and this is how you do it. And I was like, oh, and then over the years, I've refined it. I have a credit card that doesn't even have a limit on it anymore because I have good credit, because I've worked hard doing these kinds of things. I know you want that too, not because you need to have a credit card, because everything is digital these days. Have you noticed? I still write checks, okay? But it's harder and harder to find places to accept a check. They want a credit card. And debit cards, oh, don't let me get started there. Let me just tell you one thing about debit cards. If you're using a debit card, I highly recommend that you stop doing that. Get a credit card, the lowest interest rate, and again, pay it off every single month. Because here's what happens. When you have a debit card and somebody steals your debit card number and they take money from your account, you're the one who has to go fight to get that money back. You're the one who has to go and try to recover it. And a lot of times you don't. You get identity stolen and everything else from those debit cards. They'll take the money right out of the bank account and then you have. I never use my debit card. I use a credit card because the credit card companies have attorneys and they have people to fight fraud. They will fix it quickly if they can prove that it wasn't you and you're not out any money. They will go and solve it. They will go and fight it. They will go and resolve it because they have the tools, they have the people, they have the money to do it. You and me, we're on our own. Sometimes our banks will do it with our debit cards, but if you have a credit card with the bank, that's when they'll fight for you. But most people with debit cards, nobody's going to fight for them. That's a safety thing. That's somebody taking your house payment, your rent money, your utilities money, and you you just have to fight. You're going to cry through that. Trust me. One of my sisters, it happened. They depleted her bank account. She didn't have any money. She couldn't pay her bills. So I don't recommend utilizing debit cards. Okay. If you get a credit card, you pay it off every month, pay it off every week. Okay. You're just better off. You're safer. Okay. So just know that as well. If you have more than one credit card and you're paying minimums on, like I said, within my sister's case, find the lowest interest rate one, move everything to that and focus on one credit card. That's one of my things that I highly recommend on that, right? Have a balance, know the balance on your card every single week. Everything's online nowadays. You can just be right on your phone. You can flip it up, look and see what your balance is, pay it off. If you don't have the money to pay it off, there's a lot of strategies that we can come up with. Yard sales. You can do all kinds of odd jobs to create some extra money to pay off the credit card debt. If you want some help, let me know. But I just really want you to hear that there's ways that you can make money for yourself utilizing a credit card, helping yourself in business, not hindering yourself. They're not a hindrance, but you have to do it the right way. Okay. No more just like willy-nilly. I have to pay it off eventually and I'll get there. I make the minimum payments. Start focusing today on how can I strategically do this? Get my numbers down quickly, right? Stop with the Starbucks coffee, make your own crappy coffee, okay, for a while. And get these things paid off so that you feel better, so that you can go out and make the money necessary. Your focus is on all the wonderful things that you need to do in your business and in your life and not worry about this thing hanging over your head all the time. If you need a coach to help you pay down that, reach out, be happy to support you. So I hope that you were able to take a look at today's topic, maybe create a mind shift, right? Shift your mindset onto credit cards can be used as a good thing when you do it the right way, just like anything else. And this new year, let's get all the debt from last year. Let's get it done. Let's get it paid off so that you're not bringing it into this new year, having that energy sitting on your shoulders, because you deserve to have relaxed shoulders and run the business that you are meant to run, because that's the dream that you have. And if you were able to take anything out of today's topic, please share this with a friend, share this with somebody that's struggling in credit card debt or something to that effect. Thank you so much for joining me today at Superheroes in Heels. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts, maybe connect with your community and share this with them, or join us over in the Hive Hangout. Go to KimberlyBorgens.com and join us over there. And I look forward to seeing you show up more in this new year, debt-free, as we continue to move forward this year. Have a blessed and wonderful day.